Honey, are you missing anything?
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
No. No, what am I missing?
Your phone. Here it is. I found it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I have it?
Yes.
Yes. Where was it?
It was on the rear bumper of the truck.
Oh, thank you. You're so smart.
No, I'm actually a dumbass.
What? Why do you say that?
Because when I found it, I sent you a text to let you know I found it.
Oh, now see, this is why I love you so much, honey.
Uh-huh.
It's The Riveted with Chris and Gina. I tell you, Chris, I don't know if you've noticed today or not, but I have been buzzing all day. So excited about this podcast.
Yes, I can tell that you're excited.
I am very excited.
Well, we should be, because the person that we've met that we have on the episode today is a very unique lady. We've had a warm-up conversation with her and learned all about her family and her Airstream experiences and the unique aspect that she has brought to the Airstream community.
Wait, I want to talk about that. You can't talk about everything.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I am super excited today because the lady joining us, her name is Bev.Everly, and she is writing a series of novels, which book number 1 has been released, and it is called The Silver Star. It's Adventures of a Shiny Hiney. Isn't that awesome? The Trailer Trash Chronicles. And I'm so excited to talk with you today, Bev, and hear about your adventures and how you decided to start writing these novels.
Bev, welcome to The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
We are happy you're happy.
We are.
Yes.
Yes.
This is a fun conversation. It's, we feel kind of in common with you too, because, our podcast is a way to kind of contribute to the Airstream community, and obviously your book that you've written and series of novels that are yet to come out are going to be a way to also honor that Airstream brand and community. So we're just looking forward to having you share that on our podcast. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yep. So go ahead, Gina.
Well, I was just going to say, we really like to start our conversations out on the podcast, just kind of finding out what your backstory is and your life adventures and how you were introduced or came to Airstream. Like, where did that all start?
Well, my grandparents came home with one. One followed them home one day. And my first glance at it, I just had illuminitis. I mean, I just got infected. And I don't know, probably most of your listeners are infected with the same disease, and it's called illuminitis.
We hope so.
They love the Airstream travel trailer. And that was a 1959 Airstream that they brought home. And they were artists. My grandfather was a neon sign bender. He was a glass bender.
Wow.
And he had a sign company, and they were both artists. So I would go spend my summers with them. And that's that little Airstream was like my playhouse. They did have a big shop and a sign shop and a big home that they lived in, but that little travel trailer was my absolute favorite thing.
Yes. I think nowadays they call those, whenever they're sitting in the backyard, a she shed or something. That was like your little she shed as a kid. Yeah.
That was my she shed. And they would spend most of their vacations in Arizona. They'd bring all their painting supplies, and they'd sit out there in Arizona and paint beautiful pictures of the scenery. And my grandfather painted many Indians. He loved to paint Indians. So that was my first experience. And they kept that trailer their entire life, and lived in it in several different places after they retired. And I just really fell in love with it and became part of the same cult, that a lot of us are.
Yes.
That is Airstream owners. And I the word cult is a really sometimes is a negative thing, but not when you're talking
Mm-mm.
about these beautiful silver trailers.
No, absolutely. We are in total agreement with that.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you said that 4 generations of your family have enjoyed the Airstream. So is that all from keeping it in the family, or did anybody purchase their own outside of what your grandparents had?
Absolutely. They kept theirs forever, but my husband and I, when we first got married, my husband's a musician, and we traveled around the United States in our own Airstream. We purchased one and lived in it. My daughter was 13 days old when she went on the road with the band.
Wow.
Her first words were mic check. Yes, her first words were mic check. When we would come from, I don't know if y'all remember the Chelsea Street pub circuit, but his band was on the Chelsea Street pub circuit. So we went to all the malls from Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico, Arizona, and Florida. So when it was time for us, we would go and be in that particular town or that restaurant, play in that restaurant for 4 weeks. And he would load up everything at the end, and we'd go to the next one, and he'd line up all the mics down the center aisle, the mic stands, and she would crawl up, toddle up at some point when she was a little bit older, and she'd say mic check. So her first words were mic check.
That's awesome.
That was, yeah, we made we had the center bed model that had the center twins, and we made one side of the twins into her crib, and the other side was her dresser and every place that we kept all her toys and everything. And then, of course, we would fold out the queen size in the living room, and that was our bed. And we did that for many years. In fact, we had to finally leave the road with her in that Airstream when she was 5 years old so she could go to school.
Yeah.
Oh.
Back then, they didn't have homeschooling like they do now.
Right.
Yeah, but what a way to grow up. I mean, that's the life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very, very awesome.
Yes.
It is. I have pictures of me, coming out of the hospital and with her bundled up and meeting the band and making sure that was her first adventure. So,
And so
she's loved it. She is 44 now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they have had, her and her husband have had their own little Airstream adventures. And in the course of our 49 years of marriage, my husband and I have owned about 6 different models.
Wow.
Wow, congratulations. Yeah.
Yes.
So what model do you have right now?
I'm homeless.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm homeless right now. I'm in the search for one. In fact, I just went to look at one this last weekend. I had to stop and work for a while here recently and help take care of my autistic grandson. And so we went ahead and purchased a big 3-story home, and the young family lives in the top 2 layers, and we live in the bottom in the mother-in-law suite. So we didn't want to have a Airstream just sitting because we weren't sure how long we were going to be there until we retired. And now we're retired, so we're in the hunt for another one. But we're looking for something between we don't want a new one. We want something that's got a little bit of character. We love the 70s and 80s models, and
Yeah.
so I just went to look at one this last weekend.
Good luck with that, because we have heard of several people who are out looking for those more vintage type Airstreams lately, haven't we?
Yeah. The right one will find you, right?
It will. We're sure of that. And then I want to just travel around with my husband and let him sing and me write and go do book signings and things like that. We'll certainly put something that has to do with a shiny Hiney on the outside of the trailer, so you can see us heading through the highways.
That's
heading
awesome.
down the highways.
That would be wonderful.
To write and to let people experience my novel.
Not to put you on the spot or anything, but all of the years that you traveled, I mean, I'm so intrigued by the traveling for the band and for the music, because I love live music. And as a teenager, I kind of helped my parents or my dad with a band that he was in, and I just love the idea of traveling in that way. But putting that aside, of all the years that you did travel in the Airstream, what do you think was one of your most memorable experiences?
Oh, now she's going to have some good stories for that. Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, oh man. I think the fact that we could just load up so quick and go to the next location. When he was finished at one particular spot, and we had to sometimes we were in New Mexico and had to get to Florida for the next, and within a matter of 3 days. So the fact that it was so compact and everything had a place, and we were able just to get up and go, and we'd stay on some beaches sometimes when we were, I hate to use the word station, but it was kind of like a military station. We were destined to the next spot, and sometimes we'd have it on the beach, or if we had a week off, we'd be there in that area and go and be in the lake. So they were fishing buddies. The band members that we had with us also traveled. And one of them had a silver streak, and the other one had another type of RV. So we kind of followed each other around, and we always felt like ours was the prettiest and the most unique, because it was so so nice and shiny and compact. And my daughter getting to grow up in one was absolutely incredible, and meeting all the people, and they'd come and say, "Gosh, you have an Airstream?" I mean, because really we were kids. I mean, my dad found that particular RV for us and we never thought we'd be able to do something like an Airstream. We always thought that would be something that we'd do later on in life when we could afford it. But we traveled and we made money, and we had a blast, and we had so many stories to tell, and it's just incredible.
Yeah. And what did you tow your Airstream with back then?
We had a trail duster, a big sparkly green trail duster.
Wow.
It was kind of like and it was standard, was not automatic.
Oh, wow.
And my husband could back that thing up and hook it up and go. And we carried ourselves and all the equipment, and it was great.
Do you ever sit down, because you said y'all been together getting ready to be 50 years, do y'all ever sit down and just kind of shake your head and say, "I can't believe we did this"?
All the time. We have these conversations where, God, remember when we did this, remember when we did that, and how did we survive,
Yeah.
But it was such an adventure. We met so many people, and that's the main reason why I started jotting down notes and things like that. The girl in the band was a reader, and I was a reader, and we had CB radios at the time. We didn't have cell phones.
Right.
And so we would get on the CB, and she'd talk about the book she was reading, and I'd talk about the book I was reading. And we would just have such fun doing that. And then I started taking notes about people that we would meet on the road. And this first novel, The Silver Star, is a story about a young lady who came home to her grandfather's home and thought she had lost everything because her dad had just gambled everything away. And they were from real wealth. And then when she got home from college, there was nothing left. But her grandfather had been to a RV park, and it was called the Silver Star. And he had always loved that Silver Star RV park. And he had secretly planned, and he was a trader and a barterer, and he had secretly planned to open his own Silver Star in Texas. And she came home to that adventure and that secret, and it was her job to fulfill his dreams, and that was to make the Silver Star.
And is that based off of someone that you met on the road then?
Well, there's several characters in the book that I did meet on the road. They're loosely, we never went to an RV park called the Silver Star. It just seemed like it was a great name. And once you read the book, you'll see that there were so many ideas that went into it, things that were revealed to her once she got there and realized the work that she had to do. And her grandfather had secretly hoarded away about 50 Airstreams. Wow. Of all different makes and models, and he had hoarded land along the lake and had enough to build an RV resort. And you would think that he was a pauper, but with all the training and everything that he did throughout their lives, because they traveled around, husband and wife, as he would go fish and they go to this camp and that camp, and they met just a slew of people on the road. And a lot of the people that are in my book are like the people that we've met on the road and like
Mhm.
the people that he met on the road. And he just accumulated and did things for other people. He accumulated a whole museum, basically, of Airstream trailers. So it'll be fun when you read it because you'll say, "Oh God, we had one of those," because when she found out about it, her lawyer gave her an envelope, and in it was a set of keys, and she went to a um, big warehouse that was set up, and inside were all the little Airstreams, or a lot of the little Airstreams that he had collected. And then later on in the book, as they're building the Silver Star, there are people that start delivering them to her. It was predetermined, and everything was worked out in advance that the grandfather had planned to have them delivered to her. So each day there's a new surprise, and you'll get to know the people that deliver and their characters, and the entire RV park is all pre-planned, and she just has to put all the puzzle pieces together.
It sounds so interesting. I failed to mention that as we introduced you that you're from the great state of Texas, and I have to say that I can only imagine that the Adventures of a Shiny Hiney is such a fun thing to say from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it just
Yes.
rolls right off the tongue.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great
Yes,
great
and
book title.
I thought that everyone would know that just by my accent, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, and the book is actually based in at Lake Travis, which at one point, and if there's some Texans on here listening, at one point Lake Travis had barely any water left. So it is strictly fiction, and it is all made up in my head, but the adventure is really cool the way it comes together.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's not War and Peace. It's a fun thing. It's some people call them beach readers, where you sit out at the beach and read your book. It's a light love story. There's a love story involved in it as well, and love of the family, love of the trailers, and just love of the adventure.
I like those type of stories, especially if I have to read them. Now, if I can listen to them on, audio or something, I can do the War and Peace, but I get lost in that reading. I'm like, oh, these wear me out. But I'm excited to read this one. I have to be honest here with the listeners and with you, Bev. I have not had a chance to read it yet. I do have it. I have the copy here, and I am super excited to read it. The cover is beautiful. I don't know if you designed that or not. It's very simple and clean and crisp. I love it. It's just a nice looking book. So kudos to you on that. That's really well done.
Thank you. And I like the way it feels too. It's very soft, and the lettering is big. I'm old. I'm about to be 70, and I want to be able to see without having to bring out a magnifying glass. I want to be able to see the words that I'm reading, and it's just a nice little treat.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. I like for the words to be there to read and not have to squint so hard to try to see them.
Well, and one thing is, like you're talking about it being an easy read, it's, you go out for a long weekend in your Airstream, or it's a rainy day, whatever, and you want to
curl up under a nice warm blanket.
Yeah, or sit outside with a cold drink or whatever, and you've got a nice book to read that is about a passion that you obviously have by being an Airstream owner. So no question, it makes sense
great
for that, and that's kind of our mindset too about our podcast. Is we naturally assume that every Airstreamer traveling to get to where they're going to go camping, as they're on the road, they can listen to one of our episodes. And same thing with your book. They can read your book while they're out camping in their trailer.
Yes.
And
what's really exciting is at the end of that book, and you'll find this out, Gina, at the end of the book, there's a tease.
Ooh.
The first chapter of the second book is in there, so you'll be able to start reading what's coming out next. And
second book.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes, I have probably about 12 to 15 different sets of notes on different characters and things that I'm doing for each book. So, there'll be more to come. As long as I can keep people interested in reading them, there'll be definitely more to come.
Yeah. You know what that makes me think of, Chris?
What?
That we might be in trouble now because we might end up being one of those characters, and
Oh,
I don't know about that.
we might end up in one of her books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love that.
Those crazy podcast people.
Yeah. I think that'd be
Those
great.
crazy podcast
Yes.
people. I'll have to put that in my notes, definitely.
That's awesome.
You know, it's funny because I based one of my characters in the book, or a couple, from my brother and his wife. And when the book came out, I had another brother that said, well, how come I wasn't in the book? And I said, well, you'll be in the next one.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, you can't put all your family in the first book, but you know, they were just real characters. And in fact, they delivered one of the Airstreams to Twiga, and I don't know if you haven't read any of it yet. So the character's name is Twig. The main character of the book, her name is Twig, and it's from the word giraffe, which means it's Twiga is giraffe, and that was her real name in the book. And it's very unusual because she looks, and once you read it, her character is that of an exotic, tall young lady that looks like a giraffe.
Oh,
And
wow.
you know, she's just very tall and stately and beautiful. So anyway, so my brother and his wife, and you'll find them in there, they deliver one of the RVs, one of the Airstreams to her at the RV park in the very beginning, and they're just real characters.
I'm looking forward to, well, are they from Texas too?
No, actually, they're from Rome, Georgia.
Okay. We
Wow.
know where that
And,
is. Yeah. No, I was going to say, you know, there's a lot of characters in Texas,
Yeah.
but we used to live in Texas, so we know.
In the book. In fact, there's characters all the way from Canada in the book. You'll be surprised that someone from Canada is going to deliver something really special for the book.
Bev, have you ever written any other books, or is creative writing something you'd done in your earlier life, or is this all just a passion recently?
Well, I started in high school with creative writing. I was a poet and did a lot of poetry, and my teachers thought that I was going to be a great poet, but I spent most of my early life just, you know, taking care of Amanda and making sure that we were all headed down the right road. I was the navigator, and we didn't have GPS back then.
Yeah.
But, you know, so no. But I've been compiling these notes of these characters now for years, and it was, you know, when I'm getting towards the end of my work career. In fact, I just recently retired, and I was able to kind of finish everything and put it all together and get the first couple of books out. So
yeah, that's great. I guess
it's been a passion for a while.
Yeah, what I was thinking in my mind as I asked that question is, like, at your age now and your life of being around an Airstream since you were younger with your grandparents and so forth, like, would your passion for creative writing, had you written a book about any other subject besides Airstream, or is
no?
It's just
poetry.
It's the Airstream.
That's what I'm getting at.
It's the Airstream.
It's part of your life.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed when you travel in those is that people want to come up to you and talk to you about it. And that's the way that you meet people, you know, as they come up to you and they say, oh, I love your little shiny trailer, and can I see inside? And, you know, that kind of thing. And if they're Airstream owners, of course, they want to compare notes, and they want to, you know, just they're like relatives to you as soon as you meet them. It's just incredible. And so that's what I wanted to share with people, is how it is a cult to a certain extent, and that there are people who just absolutely live this lifestyle and love it, and they're comfortable. And a lot of people go, how can you live in that little thing? Well, everything has a place, and it's very comfy and cozy, and it's just a different lifestyle, but it's so fun because there's never a dull moment. You never meet a stranger.
Exactly.
Well, we've been in ours for 7 years.
Yes.
And full time, and we love it. We don't feel like it's cramped.
No, not at all. And just like you said, we have the saying that everything has a place and everything is in its place. Like, we don't leave stuff just sitting around. We make sure we put it away. And then as long as stuff stays like that, you know, the inside stays nice and neat, and you don't feel the clutter or claustrophobic. It still feels real open and airy and simple. That's what we call it, simple. We live simply. But I wanted to say something when you were talking about meeting characters and stuff by, being in the Airstream out on the road. This might be something for your book. I know what I'm getting ready to say you're going to think's funny, but it's it really happened. We pulled into a service station and we got our fuel and we pulled over to the side to, have a nice lunch break. I think it was. It could have been later in the afternoon. I can't remember, but we pulled over for a little bit. And we're sitting at the table and we're eating and chatting, and we kept hearing this noise like a bunch of people talking. And we had our blinds closed all around us because when we travel, we keep them closed to try to keep the Airstream cool inside because there are so many windows. And I started opening the shades over our sink that's on the beside of our door. It's on the door side of the Airstream. And I see a big, what do you call those, tour buses? Is that what it was, Chris? One of those huge tour buses out there. And it was full of Asians. I think it was called an Asian tour or something. I don't know. And I don't know where they were headed, but they had stopped, I guess to go to the bathroom, fuel up, get snacks or whatever. But what they also did on this stop was they formed a line outside of our Airstream, and they were posing, one, maybe two, maybe three people at a time, were outside just snapping pictures left and right, posing, doing all these crazy things right outside our kitchen window by the Airstream. And they had no idea we were in there. None at all. You can't, because you can't see in. But that lasted, I don't know, about 20 minutes, didn't it, Chris? Something like that.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. And they were just so happy. They just loved it like they'd never seen one before. But, that's a different scenario.
If it was an international tour in America, they had never seen one. It was the first time in their life they'd seen one.
And I'm sure we were somewhere close to a national park. That's probably where they were headed.
Sure.
Or something. But anyway, that could be a story for your book. But I just thought that was really cool. They weren't bashful. I mean, they were so excited. They were not bashful.
Yeah.
But it was fun to see, and it was exciting to us when we were sitting there thinking about it. Was like, what other rig would they, come up and be so excited to have their picture, with or whatever. So anyway, that's just how Airstreams are.
We've been parked at parks where $1 million motorhomes have come up, and we'd be out on outside under our awning with a picnic table and set up. We always had a little setup where we had a little barbecue pit out there and things like that, or a pop up, or whatever we were doing, and they'd come over and they'd spend time with us, even though they had those big luxurious mansions, and they'd come spend time with us and say, "This is so cozy, so homey, so friendly."
Yes,
and
I've never heard that term for Airstream before, like you just said, so friendly.
Yeah.
And that's perfect. It is friendly, and when you're sitting outside, it's just so welcoming to people coming by.
I think part of what causes a description like that to be given for an Airstream is back to its uniqueness. It's got its own unique style and appearance, and of course, even though they look similar on the outside, almost a lot of them on the inside are all unique and different. And I just don't see how you could have an unfriendly one, because they all have such unique character.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
We find ourselves driving down the highway, if we're not pulling one, trying to catch up with one that's ahead of us, because there's nothing that puts a smile on your face more than to see that shiny little Hiney bouncing in front of you, going down the highway, because they're out for an adventure. They're out there to, to see something or meet somebody or have some fun or, attend this rally or that rally. So that's what I see, when we're not in one or don't own one at the moment, because there's been a couple of years where we've been without when I took care of my mom with Alzheimer's and things like that we've had to purchase another one later or wait or be without. But we're definitely, if we see one on the highway, we're looking to see, what it is and how cute it is and that kind of thing. And that's why I adapted. I don't know how many people call them shiny heinies, but it's kind of caught on here in Texas because I say it a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
But
I
but
like it.
is. It's a beautiful little.
I think
It's a beautiful little shiny honey.
Yeah, I think it's such a unique phrase, and you're describing that visual of going down the road and seeing it, and I can only of a little over 7 years of us owning ours now, and we've traveled pretty much all of the United States with the exception of just a couple small spots, but I can only think of one time that I actually was able to see our own shiny honey going down the road when I wasn't driving it. I mean, I can't see my shiny honey if I'm driving it in the front, so I can only think of one time. And it put a smile on my face whenever I was able to see it because it's such a unique visual knowing that one is our trailer. And I was
What
able
were
to
you
see it
doing?
on the road.
Were you following, you were driving my parents' RV for them and following me?
Yeah, they had a motorhome and they weren't feeling well, so I drove it back, and you drove ours, and we followed behind you.
Yeah, that's right.
And
you know what's funny? I see people that post all the time the pictures of them sitting in the tow vehicle with their rearview mirror, and they take a picture of the side mirror so you can see down the side of the RV, the side of the Airstream.
Yep.
But I think that if people started taking pictures or had someone take pictures of them from the rear, it would just really make them smile because they're like, "Oh, that's my little shiny honey going down there,"
No, I agree.
I think you'd see more of those pictures posted too.
When an Airstream is set up to camp in a really beautiful location, maybe it's just a really nice RV resort, or maybe you're out boondocking somewhere and you're in a beautiful landscaped area. Obviously, the front of the Airstream could be just as beautiful as the back, but it seems like anytime Gina and I have been in those kind of situations, and we've got beautiful landscape around us, we always seem to take a picture of our Airstream from the back.
We do.
Yeah, of its hiney.
Of its hiney. We've had it with epic mountains behind it, lakes, rivers, ocean.
I think that, even having not read the book yet, I can tell that it's going to be wonderful and we're going to enjoy it very much.
Maybe we can cuddle up on the couch and you read it to me.
I'd rather you read it to me.
I knew that was coming.
Read each chapter to each other. You know what's another thing? I know you're a boat lover. And one of the things that I think I gave you a little tease about is that they're not only are they building the Silver Star RV Resort, but her grandfather was a boater. And there's a lot of boats that he collected too. So you're going to be able to enjoy that. In fact, when one of my cousins purchased the book in Louisiana, because no one knew that I was writing it, I just said, "Hey, I got a book out." And then, "Oh, I want to buy it." So it's on Amazon. And I got a phone call from her husband, my cousin's husband, and he's older than me. And he said, "Beverly, I just got through reading the first couple of chapters in your book." And he said, "I can't put it down."
Wow.
And I thought that was so strange coming from a guy, because it's a little bit of a love story. And he was like, "No, I can't wait to finish it." So I just spoke to him the other day and I said, "Well, Owen, did you finish my book?" And he was like, "Yes, and I can't wait for this next one to come out that you teased me with, Louisiana." So he's got that Louisiana. "I can't wait for the next one to come out that you teased me with."
Well, that's great validation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the guys will like it too. It's when I say it's a love story, it's not anything where you wouldn't want to. You want to cover up the cover or not have anybody read it because there's not any of that kind of stuff in it. It's not hard love story. It's really soft and sweet, and I think you'll really love it.
Yeah. Well, men like love stories too. They just don't like to admit it all the time.
Oh, I'm definitely a lover more than a fighter.
Definitely.
I'm not so I would dig that for sure.
Yes.
But I think that any kind of piece of creativity like that is born from your passion and just enjoyment of Airstream is bound to just be great, and we're excited to read it, and thank you for giving us a copy, and we're looking forward to it. So you said it's on Amazon. So tell us about that. Like, how can people find it? Just search for the title on Amazon.
If you just search for Bev Everly, then it'll pop up, and it's a print-on-demand type situation. They print several in advance, and I just looked today, and there's only like 9 that they have, in backstock. But they'll print if someone, let's say you're an Airstream group and you've got a book club, and a lot of ladies have contacted me that have a book club, and they'll say, we want to put your book on for our next book. You just order it on Amazon. It'll, take a few days and it'll come right to you. In fact, if you ordered one today before noon, it would have gotten to you tomorrow if you're on Prime. So,
oh, cool.
But yeah, it's Bev Everly, and they have it listed as the Silver Star. And then, of course, it's Adventures of a Shiny Hiney, the Treasure Trash Chronicles. But all of the books are Adventures of a Shiny Hiney, the Treasure Trash Chronicles. This one is called the Silver Star. The one that's teased, that's coming out in February for Valentine's, is called Silver Linings, and they all have different. They all have to do with being silver and being the Airstreams. And I'm working on the cover for that, and then coming out after that is the Silver Pact, which is really, really going to be neat because it's about some ladies that are widows. And they travel around in their Airstreams because they did with their husbands, and they do philanthropy. They do surprise or they're like quiet helpers.
Very
and
neat.
They go to different communities. Yes, so they do some really cool things out in the community as they travel to each location, and they find somebody that needs some help, and they do it anonymously. So that's going to be really cool too.
That's neat.
That sounds very exciting.
I'd like to ask a quick question that's a little off topic from the book, but it's been on my mind ever since you mentioned it at the beginning, and it doesn't even have anything to do with like Airstream. But tell me about the type music that your husband played in the band.
I can't believe you went this long before you asked that, because your eyes lit up as soon as she started talking about it.
I know. I wanted to, respect the conversation topic, but I just can't help myself. Tell me like what it was all about.
Well, back in the days when he traveled on the road on the Chelsea Street pub circuit, they had to play things that were party type music, but he is a crooner. He's an absolute crooner. He sings all classic country, classic rock and roll, classic Elvis,
right?
Rat Pack. So
very cool.
But he's going to be 80. He's going to be 80 this year. So I mean, he knows all the good stuff. He sings everything from Waltz Across Texas to Johnny Cash to a lot of those people. So as we travel on the road, he'll sit in somewhere. He'll guest star at an opera, a local opera or something like that.
Very neat.
He's got a beautiful voice.
Yeah. I bet so. That's really, really neat, and I'm sure it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you did wait that long, because
I know. I didn't want to disrupt the flow, but I just was intrigued. I couldn't imagine. I mean, with not only just from being from Texas, I'm sure his musical tastes were very broad, but back then and traveling all multi-states, the music had to have been pretty diverse and not regional. So that was really cool. That's exciting.
So much fun. Mm-hmm.
I bet.
What does he think about your book writing? Is he excited for you?
Yes, I think he's ready to get out there and hit the road again. And we're able to do that now that I'm, retired.
Yeah.
I've been in marketing my whole life. So, and I've worked since I was 13. So it's kind of hard. Even when I was on the road with the band, I worked. So, it's hard to stop doing that. But we're at a point now where if we don't do it now, we're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Life. So that's why we're in the hunt for another one. And the kids that we're helping my daughter with are getting older, and so she's able to get out there and do it. They're traveling a lot too with golf, so we're in the hunt for that RV, in the hunt for that Airstream, and the one that we're going to be spend the rest of our lives in, and traveling around and selling books and doing book signings and
he can be traveling with you now versus you traveling with him.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I like that. I like that.
Very good point.
Have you thought about an Airstream model that you like other than the 70s? Like, I know you said around the 70s, but is there like a certain thing you're looking for in particular?
We really want something about 27, 28, 29. We don't want a
Okay.
34. We've had 34s in the past, and
Yeah.
we just don't want anything that big. Just something with a little bit of character and not so shiny and new on the inside. We like to have it to where there's, a little bit of character.
And only sleep two, correct?
Yes, we only need two.
Only two.
And yeah, he has a little Havanese 10-pound service animal named Tilly that travels everywhere with us. She's been held by Dolly Parton and been everywhere,
Wow.
And so she travels with us, but that's just the two of us and our little pup.
No, it sounds wonderful.
Sure does. So would you leave us with a small little snippet reading of something in your book? Like,
good idea.
To kind of wrap up our podcast with you?
Well, I have the dedication in the first book was real important to me. There are groups of travelers, some retired, some still working on the road, and some who just continue to long for the sight of the next horizon. Many of them are traveling in these shiny silver orbs on wheels or dreaming of doing so, lovingly called shiny heinies. They're bitten by this bug called illuminitis. This series of novels, the Trailer Trash Chronicles, is dedicated to these nomads. You make your way around the world living your dreams and seeing the miracles in each tiny town and on each back road. May you continue to wander and know that you are definitely not lost.
Wow. That is amazing.
That's beautiful.
That just makes me feel good all over.
It does.
Yeah. See why I was so excited to talk to her today?
Yes. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and just talking with you and your experiences, I just feel good all over. If I didn't have an Airstream, I'd want to go buy one.
Well, and I would say that reading that dedication at the beginning of that book there's no way in the world you would not read it after reading that dedication.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or want to put it down.
Yeah.
You'll just want to keep reading it.
Beautiful, Bev. That was wonderful. Thank you
so much. Thank you. So please, go, if you're listening, go out there to Amazon and order the book, and more are coming, and I just hope to entertain for a very long time.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, and we hope that you do too, because we are looking so forward to this, Bev. Thank you so much.
Yep. We'll be sure to put your contact info where they can reach out to you directly in the description of this episode, and also a link to where they can find it on Amazon. And we can't thank you for being on the podcast enough, and hope the best for you this year, and having the search come to find an Airstream that you love. And
yes,
we'll see you down the road.
Get out there on the road.
Yes,
and
definitely. We'll see you. They always say happy trails, and we'll see you on.
Absolutely. Get out there and share your love of Airstream and your books with people, because I think these are going to be good reads for everybody. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Y'all stay warm out there.
We will try.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Take
so much,
care.
Bev.
Thanks, Bev.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Gina, what are you doing already?
I'm cozying up.
What do you mean cozying up?
I'm cozying up so I can read my book. I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, I want to read it too.
Well, you want me to read it to you, baby?
Yes, please read it to me.
I definitely will.
That will be nice.
Listener, do y'all hear that? He wants me to read the book to him, and I'll do it.
Yeah, we're going to be sure to put all of her information in the description of this episode so you can see how to get the book. It's amazing. That was a fun conversation, and very interesting lady, and I'm sure you can pick up on all the passion she has for Airstream from her past life. So that was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And listener, we appreciate you listening, but we would also love to have a little chat with you. So send us a message at info@therivetedfox.com, or you can go to our website, to our Contact Us page on therivetedfox.com. But be sure to send us a message and say, hey, I want to come on and chat with you too, because we'd love that.
We would. All are welcome. So come check us out. Enjoy this podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and at therivetedpodcast.com. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Woo.